Do you struggle to maintain weight loss but desperately want to feel good in your own skin, confident in your clothes, and improve your overall health? If so, you're home. Hey, I'm Sam. I'm an elder millennial, dietitian, specialist in weight management, and former functioning fat girl. I learned how to win at weight loss by breaking free from diet culture PTSD. My mission is to marry the science with practical, real-life strategies because we all know if it's not realistic, it's not happening. Are you ready to ditch diet culture and learn how to win at weight loss? Grab your water bottle and let's go. Friends, are you stuck? Do you feel like a weight loss failure? Confused and frustrated by all the conflicting nutrition and weight loss information floating around the interwebs? You need a breakthrough session. I'm so happy to be offering a 1-hour, one-on-one coaching session that I called the Winning at Weight Loss Breakthrough Session. To win at weight loss is to not only lose the weight, but keep it off. This session is designed to break through all the nutrition noise and create a simple strategy customized just for you to start making progress on your BHAGs, your big, hairy, audacious goals. You don't want to miss out on this limited session. You'll receive a completely customized game plan designed just for you, the recording of our session to keep forever, and an accountability follow-up a week later to see how it's going. Go to bit.ly, bit.ly/win at weight loss now to book your session. I can't wait to meet you. That's bit.ly, bit.ly/win at weight loss now. Okay. Let's hop into today's episode. Hey friends, welcome to another episode of the More Than a Number podcast. I am super excited to share these next two episodes with you because I got to chat with Coryn and Crysanne, the amazing mother-daughter duo of the Her Healthy Body podcast. We had such a great conversation that I had to break it up into two parts because, well, we couldn't stop chatting. Coryn Brown and Crysanne Clay are a mother-daughter health coaching duo and the voices behind the Her Healthy Body podcast. With over 20 years of combined experience working with women both in person and online, they specialize in strength training, protein-focused nutrition, and helping women rebuild their health after years of diet culture and extremes, all while keeping God at the center of their journey. So without further ado, here is part one of my chat with Coryn and Crysanne. All right, Her Healthy Body ladies, I'm so excited to have you guys on the show.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
having
much
us.
for being here.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited.
I'm excited too. Okay, so your mother-daughter duo, which I love so much and we're going to get into, but give us a little background of like who you are, what you do, what led you into and interested in the health and wellness space and all that good stuff.
Well, I started my health and journey, at about, I'd say about 20 years ago, I got my certification. Always was fascinated with the human body. I just think and I always want the question answered of why. Why this? Why that? Why does this happen when we do this? So, and then I love health and fitness. So I think just like wanting to get my certification and my education in health and nutrition would answer all those questions. And it did to a point, but yeah, it started with that kind of love in my heart of just wanting to know why things happen the way they happen and loving the human body and everything that it can do. And I think that's where my love for this stemmed from.
And then I came into the picture. It was probably around high school. I was just going through typical high school girl trying to figure out herself. What's my identity? Is it in sports? Like, what is it? And I was struggling really bad. And she could tell right away. And she actually introduced me to the gym. And she was like, why don't after school we just start going together? And it really built our relationship. We got a lot closer, and we started in such a healthy way of just doing this to move our body and to feel good. And I loved it because it wasn't any pressure of anything other than just like, this is something that I can excel in, I thought. And as we kept going with doing this, it more became, we got more into health and fitness. We educated ourselves more, and then we got down into, oh, let's try to be the smallest version of us as
Well,
possible.
it can, the health and fitness world, if you get caught up in it, can lead you down a dark road. And unfortunately, we saturated ourselves with it. It was everything we read, everything we did. It just became an idol. And yeah, that's kind of where we remained for a while.
And we both started taking on clients. We worked together at a gym, and I noticed that we were putting them through the same unhealthy cycle that we were going through, because we were struggling with trying to lose as much weight as possible, and all the bad side effects that come with that. We were struggling with, and we were putting this through, we were doing this to other people. And I was like, this isn't right. Like, how are we supposed to help ourselves if we can't help these women? And so that's whenever everything completely shifted for us. And we were like, we need to do this from a place of how we started with our health and just feeling good, and get away from what the health and fitness just industry is telling us, because what they're telling us, we're becoming obsessed, and we're making these women obsessed, and it's not helping them. Yeah, they might lose 20 pounds, but they're going to gain it back within a couple months, because it's just not realistic anymore. And that's really where we started our podcast, and we started helping women do this the right way.
That's awesome. Did you get the same certification that your mom has?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
That is
our
awesome.
certifications, it's one thing to be educated, Sam, on all this stuff, and that does help. Those certifications they help. The education is great. It was when you work with people that you start really seeing the importance of, just not the education, just the individual. And that's where I think this love stemmed of doing this stemmed from, is just looking at the individual person. And everyone's so different. So the education, it gives you the base, but it doesn't give you how this person's going to react, how that person's going to react, what the trauma that was in this person's life, or the thoughts that it just, I love taking the person. And I think she's the same way, just taking that person, learning them, and then it clicks. Oh, well, this is what they need to do. This is how this could work. This is how that can work. So I think that's the reason behind her healthy body, because it's your healthy body. And we just want to get you to that place, that comfortable place that it works for you. Because I'm sorry, calories in, calories out, we see that, that just, it's a blanket statement, but everybody follows it. And that's what we learned. We're, treating everybody like an athlete, and it just doesn't work. And it took
Yeah.
taking on clients to see that.
I could not agree more with that on, the certification, the education part of that. I'm very proud of my education, and, like you said, it lays the foundation and it gives you the good base. But if you don't really know how to apply that education to an individual person, and then add on top of that the empathy and compassion factor when you have walked in those shoes, when like our three histories and backgrounds are not the same, but they are. It's like same, but different. We all have had our own like journey through weight and health and everything. And so sometimes I do hear in like social media, I'll hear other registered dietitians who I'm sure are very well educated, but you can kind of tell that they don't really get it. So I think that it means a lot And unless you are really coaching and working with other people and you're resonating and relating to other people, you really don't get it. So it does shine through a lot. And just from listening to binging your podcast and everything, you can really tell you guys are awesome. I
Well,
love
thank you.
your messages.
Thank you so much.
So, in my podcast, we've been talking a lot about like support versus sabotage and how sometimes those waters can be really muddied. And I think that sometimes we don't even realize that we're the saboteur, like we're the ones that are doing it to other people. And as much as we can't stand when people are pushing food on us, we sometimes will do that to other people too. So, as someone who like came out of the womb on a diet and has been conscious of and struggling with my weight my whole life, and my mom was always very, she was tiny, but she was very weight conscious. I'm really curious to understand and to hear that like dynamic between you guys, the mom-daughter duo, and how, maybe back in the day it looked a little bit different than it does now, and kind of how you guys have really navigated through like what is real support, what can potentially be sabotage, and, all of those issues.
Well, that is the most true statement. And until
Mhm.
you just said all of that, when you were saying it, it just so flooded into my mind exactly out of love, I still sabotaged her in so many ways, and I didn't mean to. But then I saw my mom. So same thing. My mom's always a teeny tiny little lady. But she was always on a diet, and I can say my first diet was because my entire family went on this diet, and it was called the Hilton Head Metabolism Diet. So damaging. But I grew up on this and our whole family did it. And basically, what the diet's concept was you eat as low as calorie as possible. Like we're talking 800 calories a day. And then you like that slows down your metabolism. We all know that. But then you exercise to speed up your metabolism. So that got ingrained in me extremely young. And it just was, I never knew, like I just always said, oh, I could just eat less and move more. That's basically what it taught me. And that stuck with me for a long time. And then I also grew up in the 80s and 90s. And I mean, the 70s and 80s, I should say. Gosh, I'm old. 70s and 80s is where, you know what I mean? And it was just always, just meat's bad, fat's bad. Jane Fonda's the way to go is exercise classes. I mean, it was never anything like nourishing the body and strengthening the body. It was just always deny and move, like the hardest things. So that had that ingrained in me too. But I did, when Coryn had said when she was struggling, I did learn from that. And I did, I started having clients prior to her being in high school. And I did start seeing, like, wait a minute, this might be all wrong. So I vowed, because I knew I was doing damage to myself, I vowed for my daughter's sake, I am not going to push this on her. I'm going to push on nothing about looks. It's going to be about health. And it started off good that way, but it
No,
doesn't always stay that way.
it did. Like I remember in high school, whenever I was, going through a hard time, putting on a few pounds, and she just introduced the gym as just a way for me to do something as an outlet. It wasn't to lose weight. It wasn't to look smaller, anything like that. And even approaching the diet, she was just like, why don't we just clean some stuff up? Like you always eat your Mancini's Italian bread's like huge up here. And I always had that as my sandwich for lunch. She's like, why don't we change this to some sprout bread? Like it was just very simple tweaks that I was doing that made me really feel good. And I even remember that I wanted just chicken instead of a sandwich. And I was so embarrassed that my friends were going to say something to me because, I'm trying to be healthier. But that then turned into, as we were doing this, I wish we would have just stayed at that point because it was good and it was healthy and we both felt amazing. But then it turned into, let's try intermittent fasting. And I'm going to listen to her because also she's always been small. I'm someone that struggled with gaining weight and looking bigger. And looking at her all the time, I always compared myself to my own mom because I'm just like, oh my gosh, all the people in high school think she's so hot. And like, it's just embarrassing that your mom looks better than your daughter or than me. And I just like always tried to want to be smaller just so I can look as good as her. And then that turned into us going into intermittent fasting and just not eating and working out as much as we can. And we said, this is for our health, but of course, in the back of our head, both of us are just fueling each other at that point, and that's where it got really unhealthy.
And that was my sabotage for her. That was definitely well, I had an eating disorder when I was in high school. I had lost a whole bunch of weight by getting my tonsils out. And back then, low fat, high carb it didn't work for me, but that was kind of, carbs were sugar and everything were not the enemy. Fat was the enemy. So I didn't know how to lose weight other than just starving myself because that way didn't work. And I got my tonsils out and I couldn't eat and I lost a whole bunch of weight. And a light bulb clicked. I was like, oh, and then I got scared to eat. I actually got scared to eat. So I had gone through a terrible spell of anorexia in high school. When I got into college, I got over it because it wasn't tied to any trauma in my life, thank God. I think people come to anorexia with control problems, trauma in their life, and I understand that. Mine was just kind of just control, and I didn't, But the worst person to fall into intermittent fasting and fasting in general is a person who had an eating disorder, and that was me. And unfortunately, I wasn't intermittent fasting, and when I started very slowly, I saw results right away. And she saw that and she jumped on the bandwagon. And then the results were slowly starting to stop, but definitely were stopping. And we had to push it further and push it further. And that's how we went down a dark hole with intermittent fasting. So we're not against fasting. I'm not, I'm still, it's not, but we took everything too far. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring up eating disorders or even just in general disordered eating, because I think that most people, when we talk about eating disorders, think of like the anorexic, that you can see the bones and, super thin, basically, like a very, very thin person. And in my world, working in obesity, people who, I mean, you can be 700 pounds and have an eating disorder. Like that is an eating
Oh, yeah.
disorder. It is disordered eating. And it's very difficult, even for the person themselves, to recognize and admit, oh, that's what that is. So I don't think it's talked about enough, but I think there is a lot, if you really dig, there is a lot of help out there for an eating disorder and, disordered eating, therapists that specialize in it, dietitians that specialize in it. But if the person doesn't even know that that is the label, like that is what's going on, then they don't even know that there's help out there for them. And our society just kind of brushes it off like, oh, we just eat too much and it's more of a self-discipline problem. So I think, especially with women, that is stuck so far into our brains that it's nobody else, it's us, it's our, self-discipline issue. And I feel like, just listening from the podcast and chatting with you guys and everything, we're very much aligned in how we view weight and health and weight loss. And on one of the shows that you were talking about, you were, really kind of discussing that and people getting enough food, because that is what's ingrained into our brains is we have to eat like a bird, eat nothing, and then literally kill ourselves with cardio along the way to see any kind of progress on the scale, or what we think is progress on the scale. So, having lived through that and gone through that, how do you help your clients to get out of that mindset and really open up and allow you to guide them in that different way?
Well, that mindset first caused us, me more mentally, I was obsessed with food. I couldn't turn off the food noise. I would walk into a gas station and normally just wouldn't even think of like, the candy bar section. And then all I did was just want every single candy bar in sight. So you become obsessed whenever you're restricting. So one of our strategies is to help these women see like we don't need to eat like a bird, like you said, is how can I add instead of restrict? So how can I add maybe a little bit more protein to my meal, or how can I add some more vegetables? It helps you psychologically think I'm not restricting. We've even told clients that maybe they have this like addiction to having some cookies at night and they just can't stop that. I'm not going to tell them no, throw out the cookies right away. I'm going to tell them, let's have a high protein meal first. And if you want the cookies after, then you can have them. So it's not this like, "Ugh, I want it," because normally when you are told what you can't have, you want more. And that's especially my personality type. So helping them with that mindset of saying, let's not restrict and let's add has helped so much. And then when it comes to the workouts, instead of doing cardio all the time, being this cardio bunny, and you have to just push, 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 sweat so much, get your heart rate up because that's what's going to give you the results that you want. Instead of doing that, we think, how can I get stronger? How can I get into the gym and get stronger with this? And this doesn't mean that you're going to get bulky. This doesn't mean that you're going to build these huge muscles. It's very difficult for women to build large muscles unless they are on some sort of testosterone, steroids, anything like that. And the health fitness industry has done a horrible job at sending that message to women. But with that, it's just focusing on getting stronger. Women notice I have more energy throughout the day. I feel better and I am able to do things that I wasn't able to do before. I can walk up the steps with my laundry and I'm not so winded that I have to take a break. Like it's little things like that that actually make them realize, oh, if I'm feeling good, this must be right, instead of I need to pummel myself to the ground and punish my body because I can't stand my body. So it's just switching those two things up.
I do really think that women who are overweight right now and they're hearing that message, I need to feed more, I need to nourish my body more. And I'm sure they're scared because, that's the last thing somebody who needs to lose 100 pounds wants to hear. They want the restriction. They don't like themselves. They want to punish themselves. They want me and Coryn to tell them, we're going to cut back your calories, you're going to exercise more. We're going to push you through this. It's going to be hard, but we're going to get you through it. Well, they did that on The Biggest Loser, right? They did that and these people lost the weight. So we all know how to lose weight. It's keeping it off. And it's how you got to the weight loss too. The journey to the weight loss is huge on how you're going to keep it off. So if you go to that journey in such an unsustainable, realistic way, once you get there, it's going to feel very empty and it's going to feel not satisfying because in the back of your head, I'll never be able to keep this up. So the journey to it is our mission to make that the most sustainable, easy journey. But you're going to have to relearn some things. And the hard part might be that relearning what your thoughts are and your mindset. That might be the hardest thing for people, but that's what we're here for, to keep you going. This one keeps me going. I had the opposite problem of I just starve and starve and starve myself. And I had the ability to do that until, my entire body breaks down and now my nervous system is shot, my gut's shot, hair falling out. And I couldn't see it. Like you were saying, Sam, people can't see their eating disorders. And I couldn't see it. I just know that I wasn't getting the results that I wanted and I needed to push harder. But that's her support for me was just always that little, in my ear, like, Mom, if you want to sleep, we can't have the goal of you losing weight and sleeping. Like we have to just keep it to one thing. So for your listeners who are struggling with the overweight, and want to get to this point, but want to get there with like peace and sanity and sustainability, that's what we're trying to outline for people. And we start with one thing. We don't want to overwhelm, and if people want us to overwhelm them, that's it. You just want me to sleep. That's it. You just want me to drink more water. Yeah, but these little things become habits and then the habits lead to health. But the side effect will be weight loss. It will be, but we just have to get the body healthy to lose weight.
Oh my gosh, so much of what you said, I could like go on forever. You know what just stuck out at me or jumped out at me? Every Friday morning, I lead a nutrition group for a substance abuse recovery center. So I've worked kind of part-time in substance abuse for years now, and I absolutely love it. And I always start my groups by asking them to tell me their name, where they're from, and then I have them give me their definition of what healthy means to them, because I think it is so personal and it's different for everyone. And I always tell them, just because I'm a dietitian, it doesn't have to do with food. Just if I could wave a magic wand and say, poof, you're healthy, what would that look like for you? And one of the clients this morning, I almost like teared up when he was talking because he said peace. He wants just no chaos in his life, within his body, around his body. He just wants peace. And I just, I got kind of like choked up a little bit because that's really deep, like we talk all the time. I would say probably 90% of the answers are, eat vegetables or lose 20 pounds. Like everything is surrounded on weight, and like what the scale says, and I should be on a diet and stuff. And we don't realize that there is so much more to health than just what that silly little scale says. And then, the other thing that you were saying that was like really hitting me too is that sustainability. Okay, guys, how much do we love Coryn and Crysanne, right? Well, trust me when I tell you, you do not want to miss the second half of that conversation next week. We talk about sticking with our health goals throughout the chaos of life. We get vulnerable, navigating through the toughest seasons, and how to manage the dreaded protein ick. I will link all of their contact information in the show notes, but Coryn and Crysanne's Her Healthy Body podcast can be found on all podcast platforms, and you can find them over on Instagram at her.healthy.body or their website, herhealthybody.co. That's co, not com. Their email is team@herhealthybody.co, and the Facebook community is Her Healthy Body. As always, I love you. God loves you. Have a beautiful week. Hey friend, I hope you feel empowered by this episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds to share it with another friend who needs it? Also, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts. Your reviews are what helps it get seen by more people who need it. Okay, time to go show up for myself, and I hope you do the same. I'll meet you back here next week for another episode. Have a blessed day.